Hello and welcome to the Let's Play Civilization 6 Part 3 video. And today I will be talking to you about the governments, policy, civics, technologies, great people, civilization and governments of this video game. So as you can see, I've changed a bit from the last time we made a video. I've been exploring a bit more. I've been taking out some barbarian encampments. See, my warrior is still on a limp, and I've begun expanding my territory here, and I've been building the hanging gardens since I've nothing else to build that would make any sense. There's one thing to mention. If you build wonders, they need to be on a tile, such as here. This is the hanging gardens. And if you decide to do that, even though you've already worked a tile for a specific purpose, be sure that you stick with something that you can use. So for example, last time I had a wheat field here, and what I did now is I built a wonder there, but that would actually increase the growth of my capital city with 15%. So that 15% kind of trumps the one wheat field, so I'm going with that. So when it comes down to expanding the empire, that's just a thing that you actually have to watch what you think could be useful. I'm planning on setting a city here. So there's one thing that's very, very important. We've talked about the government and the policy cards. There's 9 governments at all, different cards, different possibilities, and right now we have unit maintenance reduced by 1 and +2 gold from all trade routes. So what we want is more cards, because that will allow us more bonuses, such as to do create scientist points per turn, which in my opinion is very important, especially when you're going for technological victory. So we want to change these governments, but we have to unlock them. So that's where the civics come in. And in this case we are going with political philosophy, because that unlocks the autocracy, oligarchy and classical republic. Those were all on the left side earlier. That's the first set of 3 government types. And as with governments, this will be early game, this will be middle game, and this will be late game. And these have the best bonuses, you can see, so it goes up gradually. So we're gonna wait for that to happen. And we are currently researching mathematics, and I am actually going to I'm thinking I'm changing that to pasture, or the horseback riding, so I can build a pasture.
Please accept my warmest thanks for your kind endeavors on the continent we share.
Queen Elizabeth is very glad I'm expanding, which is good. So I've actually met the British, and it's a good thing to keep them friendly until you're past the medieval age with your military units, because their longbowmen, when they take a city, they create another longbowman, and that is their specialty unit. So that is something to watch out for. So you can keep them friends all you want, of course, and you can also not keep them, but if you want to be sure you're not get annihilated very quickly, just don't piss them off. That's very important to remind yourself of. So we're just setting the city bit by bit, and as you can see, we're building a library here. The campus has been completed. The bondar is being built bit by bit. Every turn it builds a bit more, as you can see. So that's actually something kind of fun to look at. We can claim a great person for the first time. This is where the points come in, the great people points. Every term you create certain great people points depending on the districts that you have and how many of them you have in total. So more cities with more districts means more points, which means more developments for you in a good sense. So we have developed our first great scientist, and he triggers the Eureka moment for mathematics and 1 random technology from the medieval era. So we're going to recruit him.
Dedication to the ways of
And education has been boosted because we have a great scientist. So that's actually very meta, and that's something that you always want to try and get, because it's education furthers your scientific progress. So we're going to activate him, and he triggers Eureka moment and 1 random tech from the medieval era. We get machinery, which will help us build crossbowmen when we have researched it. So that's the next line of defense. As you can see, we have got a new kind of attention pop up, and that says that we need more amenities, both in Xi'an and in Longji. So there's one thing to remind you guys of. This will happen quite early in the game and quite often, both with amenities, which look like a circus tent, and housing, which will basically look like a house. Don't worry about it too much unless it says that your people are about to riot, and then you have to actually step in and do something. This will happen a lot more, and as you get to middle and late game, you actually get to build specific districts and buildings that actually create a lot more housing on the tiles around you. So it will get a lot better once you get about 60% in, and it just it goes booming style. So yeah, don't worry about it too much. It always says if this gets worse, people may rebel against us, but just make sure that it doesn't say people are about to rebel against us. That's basically the difference. We are pleased to consider you an esteemed friend. We hope the feeling is mutual. They want to be our friends. Very well. Alright, so with the civics, it's important to keep an eye on the tree. Because as you can see, not everything will be useful, but in the end, you will need a lot of these because they all link to each other. To get, for example, to let's have a look. Well, for example, the nuclear program, which allows you extra 4+4 great scientist points per turn, which is an upgrade of the one that we have right now. To the Cold War. There's capitalism, mass media, mobilization, which actually allows you to to transport your units by air, which is very useful for a domination type victory or when defending on a large scale. There's the space race. This is actually very important for the technological victory. You need to be able to get to the space race, and if you manage to complete and build it, it will give you a large science bonus. So that's something that's very useful. But especially democracy, fascism, and communism. I've showed you them before, and you actually need more civics for that. So it comes down to you needing it. So at some point you're gonna have to get crossing eras, and this is one of those points. You need both to get further on ahead. So that's just, I'm calling them bottlenecks. So I'm gonna leave that what they are right now and go and head over to city-states. As you can see, we are leading science victory, but there's no actually filling the bauble in contradiction to the culture, domination, and religious victory. That's because the science victory will not start filling up until you have at least a satellite in orbit and start launching Mars colonization nodes. So we'll get back to that, but I won't worry too much about it if you can't see it. We are getting a good start though, so we're gonna see what happens. We are producing 13.9 science per turn, and as you can see, the number 2 has 10.8, so that means that whoever is in second place is somewhere in between. So we need to get a bit ahead of ourselves, and as soon as the library is done here, that will actually happen. So we're going to continue on. And we're going to found a city here. And we're going to build a granary. 22 turns. So with the technology tree, there's something to keep an eye on, because there's certain techs that you want before others. For example, sailing when you have a harbor-based city like myself right now. But I haven't actually done anything for that, so that's just a different story. I should actually be doing that. Machinery is one that's useful as well, because it allows you to use force for lumber mill, which increases production by a lot. Basically, as you can see, you need everything to get everything. There's a lot of things to be done, but for example, rocketry is important because you can build a spaceport. You can launch our satellite, which is the first step for space race and science victory. So there's a lot of things. Now about other civilizations, you actually need to keep your relations with them. So, for example, England has sent us an envoy, and we can send them one as well if we'd like to. This will cost 25 gold. But they have their own share of information for you. So, for example, gossip. Nothing new. But last 10 turns we heard that it has been rumored that England has just declared war on the non-Madal. We have no access level with them. We have a declared friendship relationship. We have open borders agreement. And they have an agenda. Each civilization has 2. And one is always open. And in this particular one, it says the sun never sets. And she likes Civs from her home continent and wants to expand all continents. And she has a hidden agenda. Now, as soon as we get to a level of relationship that we are open, we can actually see this hidden agenda. And if you actually do something that would conflict with that, even if you know it or not, that doesn't really matter, they will still threaten you. So that is something to keep an eye on, because as soon as they threaten because of the agenda, you may need to pay close attention, because if you do that in the wrong way, you can actually get your butt kicked. So that's something to watch out for. It also shows their government type as a chiefdom that we just evolved from earlier. So that means they have less bonus every turn than we do, which is not too shabby, because that means that it's like more likely for us to win. Here we go. And this is something particular that I wanted to show you.
The ascent to the highest story is by stairs, and at their side are water engines, by means of which persons, appointed expressly for the purpose, are continually employed in raising water from the Euphrates into the garden.
As you can see, you get a small video in which the wonders are building up. There's actually a lot of videos about how the wonders are built up if you want to see them. So they're not hard to find on YouTube, really. So we get 50% growth.
You tread on dangerous waters,
and they do not
in
like
face
it.
of England and her loyal colonies.
So that's kind of a threat, which is weird because they want to be our friends, but whatever, you know. So progress toward drama poetry has been advanced considerably because we've made a wonder.
No hour of life is wasted that is spent in the saddle.
And we're going to choose a new research. And there's all kinds of different things that we can actually do, but I'm going with mathematics. It's pretty advanced, only takes 2 turns. We can choose something new to produce. We could build the Oracle, but I don't want to do anything with faith, so that's not the best thing to go. I will build ancient walls because we can use them once we get attacked, which is something I will be expecting rather late in the game. We'll buy another builder. Alright. And we'll set this to automated exploration. We will have this unit defend the city. So I'm creating fishing boats here, which actually help me grow my city and increase my income. And they send another royal envoy. They're going all over the place. But whatever, as long as they're friends, that's fine. Well, that doesn't have a war on my hands.
Beginning my studies.
So we have mathematics. What I'm going to do is I'm going with probably astrology. Because it's only 1 turn and allows us to get celestial navigation, which has its own properties of actually building a great lighthouse wonder. And a lighthouse, which provides food, gold, and housing. So that's not a bad thing to do, really. So let's go do that straight away. We're actually, come to think of it, it is a very specific technology because we won't be able to use it in the other cities. But what we can use everywhere, especially for this particular town, because it has very little production tiles, as you can see. There's no hills, no mountains. We can do the apprenticeship. It allows us to build an industrial zone and a workshop in that zone. So that's definitely something that you need to keep an eye out for when you have cities that have very little production value. So we're going to cut away this woods, and it instantly provides us with 25 turns of progress for building the granary. This is very useful. Geneva City State has given you a new quest, trigger Eureka for construction, which is not too shabby. Geneva City State is very useful, and you get a trader out there, you get extra science. It's quite in the way for me, so I may have to actually build a city here somewhere. It actually has proper properties, mountains, water, food, production, so I might consider just creating an expedition and just go there. Let's see, construction. We have to build a water mill, and for that we need I think we may need the wheel. Yeah, the wheel. To get an inventory is not a bad idea, so that's the first thing I'm going to research. 26 turn gives us extra science per turn. So yeah, that's by far the best thing to do.
The opportunity has arrived for a change into a new and more powerful system.
Politics is the art of the
Okay,
possible.
so we have
the
just
attainable.
been given new kinds of governments. So there's the first three. This is basically for domination victory types and just warmongering. This one is also for getting things more. It also has wonder production, so this would be more for culture and a bit of defending, but you will have to defend your wonders if you're going for a cultural victory. But we do not want that. We want a more economic boost, so we can buy units when necessary and just keep producing things for the technological victory that we want. And we need to be able to slot the +2 scientist points per turn in the wildcard slot. Now each of these governments has such a slot, so that's a good thing. I'm going with Classical Republic. So as you can see, we lose the conscription. We have not got our gold reduced return now. But instead we get +2 great scientists per turn. Wildcard you can put in anything, but I always go with inspiration, because more tech, more science, etc. There is diplomatic cards, which we only have 2. But in the beginning I like to do is Diplomatic League, get ahead of the competition that also has envoys, because every first envoy counts as 2, so that will increase my favor, and that will in turn gain extra production like we saw earlier, and in the near future I hope also science with Geneva. About the second, since I'm most likely going to produce a settler, I'm going to build it right here, and it gives me 50% production increase towards settlers, which is a good thing. So let's see what happens. Celestial Navigation has advanced considerably. Very well. Since we do not have to rush certain things, I will get back to that. Right now what we want is to increase amenities, because basically we're getting screwed over. So that's another good thing. So there's 2 things you can do. You can either build an entertainment complex, which you have to research first, or we can change policies again. So I'm going with this, and the main reason is that as soon as the walls are complete, I'm rushing a settler. I'm going to check that straight away. It's 5 turns, and as soon as that is complete, I can change it back. So we'll just see what happens. Okay, so we have a new city, and we have to make a route there, so we can get a network going in case we need to send over military units quickly. As you can see, we have seen a new effect of the trader, and this is something I wanted you guys to see. As soon as you send a trader on its way, it creates a route between the 2 places it's trading, and any and all stops in between. As soon as it gets to the final destination and back, it creates trading posts, and that actually increases your gold per turn. So traders create roads, and they create market posts, and that's trading posts, and that's actually a good thing for your gold. Instead of Civilization 5 and Beyond Earth, you do not have to build them separately anymore, and this is a very good thing. We're gonna have to build a campus. I'm gonna do that right here. So you can see it basically comes down to, once you build a city, try and stick with the same recipe when it works for you. I'm just giving you the things the way I would do them. So today we've talked about governments, city-states, civilizations, and diplomacy. We've also talked about civics and technologies in the trees and what to watch out for. In the next video, I will talk a bit about gold per turn, faith, and diplomacy, as can be viewed right here, as well as culture per turn. And we'll be seeing how the expansion of the empire goes, as we will be heading upwards and try and build a city here. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, please do ask, and I will try to answer them as best I can. Have a nice day, guys.